And I earned my first coffee this morning. It is day 31 of 50 days of fitness. And so for the earning your coffee portion of that, I've so far done that every day, which is fantastic. So yesterday I did 4 again. So I've been very consistent in terms of getting in 4 of those kind of mini exercise groups. And and again, on my way in this morning, I weighed in again at 200 pounds. So that's 2 days in a row. We'll kind of see if I'm going to stay there. It would be nice if I did. It was a surprise drop, so I'm not going to be surprised if that drifts back up a little bit. But it was 200 again this morning. So, and I got to be honest. I mean, I hope it stays there. But if it doesn't, I'm not I'm not going to panic. But I hope it stays there. Today I thought I'd talk a little bit about water. We've talked about a number of things, and I've mentioned a few times that over the last few years I've kind of adapted to where the only things I really drink are water and coffee. An occasional soda, but I avoid those. I don't think they're good for me. And so there's some times where it seems like, I don't really have a better alternative, and I'll have one, but most of the time I don't. I just drink water or coffee. And I don't know where you are. I live in Louisville, Kentucky, and we all the time get these awards for our water. Our main water source is the Ohio River. Louisville is right on the Ohio River. And so I've always just assumed that we have that water is nothing to even worry about here. And in a real sense, I mean, that is true to a large extent. It's certainly not like we're living in a third world country and the water carries a lot of disease or anything like that. But we do have a lot of stuff in our water, and I was surprised to find all of that out. And so again, I'm going to reference my friend who I don't know, Andrew Huberman. And you might want to look up his some of his podcasts talking about water, or he oftentimes cuts those into shorts for YouTube, and you might look some of those things up, because I was surprised. I mean, when I first started listening to him, I mean, my attitude was, that doesn't really apply to me, but I'm going to listen to it just because it's kind of fun to listen to him. But I don't really need to worry about that. And by the time I was done, I was like, well, stink. I mean, I guess I do need to worry about it. And we have things. One thing which is it's probably controversial, but like fluoride. We've been adding fluoride to the water throughout the United States since the 50s, I think, the 1950s, maybe 1960s. And I remember when I was a kid, and by kid I mean under 18, people would talk about it, that it was a health miracle, that when we did that it has had a tremendous effect on the number of cavities people have, on dental health, and what a big step forward it was to do that. And it's kind of easy to think about that. I mean, fluoride is an element that doesn't really react with very much. And, we talk about the noble gases and all those things that just don't really react. They're considered inert. And so because of that, it was always assumed that really fluoride was safe, because it shouldn't even really react with anything. But it turns out it does react with stuff, and not in the ways that we thought it would. And I'm not going to tell you that it's poisoning you or anything, but it's probably not good. And fluoride is just one that comes to mind. There are other things as well that we have in our water. And so after watching Andrew Huberman, I went out and I bought a Brita pitcher. And so the water that I drink filtered water. And it takes out a lot more. There's probably still more I could get out, but I thought, it's a simple thing. It's really relatively inexpensive, and so I started drinking filtered water. And I will say, I got to admit, I'm not 100% sure that this just isn't a mental trick I'm playing on myself. But I feel like it tastes better. It seems to me to taste a lot better. And again, if you did a blind taste test with me, maybe I couldn't even tell the difference. I don't know. But it seems that way. And I just think it's one of those things, we are just bombarded with so many things that have been added to everything we eat or drink. And of course, our water has to be safe. It has to have been treated. We have to get rid of the bacteria and, all of those things. But in addition, I think we can get rid of a lot of these additives once we have it safe, and it'll be better for us. So I drink coffee and I drink water. And the coffee, I don't know if I need to break that down. I drink regular coffee until around lunchtime, and then in the evening sometimes I'll have coffee, but I'll have decaf. So maybe does that count as 2 drinks instead of 1? Maybe I have to say I drink 3 things: coffee, decaf, and water. I don't know, but I think it's worth thinking about. We have so much stuff in all of our food, and I'm kind of wandering into a different topic, but I've mentioned before, I have a whole bunch of food allergies, a ton of them. And so I don't eat out very much, and I don't eat processed food very much. I generally stay away from things that are already prepared because, again, you start reading through them and it's unbelievable, all the stuff that's added in all of this food. And so when you make your food yourself, you have a pretty good idea what's in it. You don't have a whole bunch of this extra stuff, and they put in all kinds of stuff. And I'm not going to say that there was never a reason to do some of those things. A lot of the preservatives that they put in there, they're trying to keep the food from spoiling before you buy it. But maybe we should just buy fresher food and eat it before it spoils, and not add this other junk into it. And so when you cook your food yourself, you know what's in it. You don't have all those extra things that maybe you'd be better off without ingesting them. So for what it's worth, I drink coffee and I drink water, and that's it. And I filter my water. And so I'm going to recommend to you might want to look up my friend, who I don't know, Andrew Huberman, and look up some of his stuff on water and watch a little bit of it and see what you think. And you decide for yourself. You decide what's best for you. I decided I was going to filter my water, so I filter all my water. So anyway, that's my, I'm going to get up off the soapbox now. That's my today's sermon. All right, I'm going to finish my first cup of coffee, and then I should be getting in 3 more times. And so if all goes well, I'll see you tomorrow for day 32. If you think these are kind of fun, or if you're learning something, or if you think that maybe somebody else might like this, maybe you can give me a like and maybe share the video and maybe even subscribe. I'm doing, of course, 50 days of fitness here. The previous one was 50 days of trash, which is kind of a fun one. You might want to check that one out. And when we're done, we're going to start another 50-day challenge, which I haven't determined yet what that's going to be, but there will be another one coming up. And that's it. We're going to sign off, and I hope to see you tomorrow for day 32 of 50 Days of Trash. Take care, my friends. Bye.